Tips for Sustainable Wealth every Friday 7 p.m. UTC by Fluffy and Alex. Knowledge is power, they say, and data rules our tech world these days. Today we have a battle of two crypto data warriors, one big fella versus a tiny teeny fighter with a big heart. Two platforms in the blockchain world that specialize in data gathering and processing as a service. The Graph versus Parsiq. Which one is better to hold in our portfolios? Which can make us rich? Tokenomics, recent developments and insights to understand the future that has for them. Also, a secret warning for one of them that you should know about. Watch until the end. Alex, back to you.
Hello guys, to start, let's take a look at price performance or which crypto would have made us or saved us more money through the years. If we compare the both of them, since December 2020 when both were live to purchase for the general public, we can see that Parsiq slightly outperformed the Graph. More times than not, the orange line was above the blue one. Get this, if we invested $1,000 in December of 2020 into the Graph, then today we would have around $220 and some change making noise in our pocket. On the other hand, the same amount of money for the same time period invested into Parsiq would have resulted into us having $250. Just $30 more. Their performance is quite similar. Guys, if you want to check another interesting crypto battle, then click at the suggest video at the right top corner. Now, to understand the supply side of things and which one would be better for the long run, let's have some fun with tokenomics. The Graph is almost 40 times bigger than Parsiq with a market cap of $615 million. Parsiq valuation sits around 17.1 million. There are 8.7 billion GRT tokens circulating in the open market and 177 million PRQ tokens comparatively. Although most of the sites state that the Graph has a max supply of 10 billion, this is not the case, as we will see soon. The total supply though is 10.5 billion GRT tokens. Parsiq, on the other hand, the maximum supply of PRQ tokens that can ever exist is 310.2 million. 83% of the total Graph supply is unlocked and circulating, and 57% of the maximum Parsiq supply. This means that, especially for Parsiq, knowing how fast the rest of the tokens will be unlocked is crucial, as new tokens can create new sell pressure and drive the price down. Unfortunately, I couldn't find information on inflation rate for Parsiq. I found some interesting info and will share with you soon, as this is important. The Graph, on the other hand, has around 8% inflation rate per year, which is quite low. Basically, the Graph issues new tokens in the form of indexing or staking rewards in a rate of 3% annually, but we also know that the protocol burns 1% of the supply annually through various mechanisms to reduce inflation. At this point, the total GRT amount burned is 23.5 million tokens. So in reality, new issuance is 2% per year, and the Graph is similar to Ethereum that does not have maximum supply, and new tokens will be coming out forever. Combine that with the scheduled unlocks of the 10 billion initial supply, and we got a total figure of around 8% inflation rate, as we saw earlier. The majority of the unlocks happened in 2021, so the rest of the supply will come in a much slower pace. Also, I wanted to mention that 30% of the supply is locked in staking through indexers and delegators, which isn't great, and we would love to see a figure above 50% because it shows conviction and participation in the network. But at least the 30% figure is stable throughout the years as seen by the Messari Graph, and don't forget that this is a bear market period. And we will see later on that the Graph is actually doing pretty good. On the other hand, Parsiq team released an article in November 2022 where they disclosed that the total staked amount of PRQ is also 30%, which isn't bad for a small cap. Parsiq, though, uses staking only to incentivize investors to hold their token and not to secure the network activity or for transaction validation. Although more utility will be introduced, we will see later on. This month, all the token unlocks happened, and the team claimed that the supply will be steady. In reality, 125 million tokens of the 310 are held in the reserve fund, and there is no information on how and when they will be unlocked. Most likely staking rewards derive from there, and my speculation suggests that inflation rate of less than 5% per year is happening right now, but we can't know for sure. Initially, there were 500 million tokens, but the team burned 199 million tokens that were not sold in the pre-sale round when the project was gathering funds. One interesting observation is that there are 37 million PRQ tokens rented, which is 20% of the circulating supply. When someone wants to use Parsiq services, they need to buy or rent tokens from the pool or the open market, which suggests that there is a potential usage of the protocol. Combine that with the 30% locked in staking and the picture ain't half bad. Parsiq had a total of $182,000 transferred in one day on the Ethereum blockchain. On the other hand, the Graph had a total of $28.6 million transferred in the same day, which suggests a much better activity. And if we actually compare those figures to the market cap those projects have, then NVT ratio for Graph is 21.5 and 92.4 for Parsiq. Bitcoin and Ethereum have average NVT ratios between 20 and 50. This makes the Graph look really good on this metric. Taking everything into account, I think the Graph is slightly preferable here. Don't you think, Fluffy?
Yeah, I think that the Graph is obviously slightly preferable, but don't forget, it's the old project.
Exactly.
That, is adding.
Now, of course, nothing is over as there are interesting developments in our Commendatory. But if you guys already settled which one you want, then you should store safely in a cold crypto wallet as the best case scenario. Both can be held in a ledger, and if you want to support the channel, then you can purchase one by using our affiliate link in the description down below. Now, let's settle this battle once and for all in our Commendatory. The Graph is in the process of migrating to its decentralized mainnet, which started at the last month of 2021. The Graph hosted free service until then without making any courier fees. This managed to attract 30,000 subgraphs. The goal now is for all those subgraphs to transition to its decentralized mainnet. And as we can see, so far so good. At the end of Q3 of 2022, the Graph reached 496 subgraphs on the mainnet. If we look at today on their Explorer, then this figure has reached 632. That's almost another 30% increase since September 2022. Although the hosted free service was developed on 30 blockchain networks, the mainnet supports only Ethereum for now. But the goal here is also to expand to all those blockchains that are supported on the testnet, so to speak. Now, this transition, as we can see, started bringing revenue for the protocol in the form of courier fees. This is expected only to go higher and higher as more subgraphs transition. Another important metric to look at to determine if the ecosystem is growing is to look to indexers, delegators, and curators. Basically, those participants that secure, validate, and participate in the economic activity of the protocol. As seen here, all three categories seem to be rising. A special focus was given to attract more indexers. In other words, we may know them as validators, as they are crucial to scale the network even more. In August 2022, Graph started a program to incentivize indexers. As seen in this graph, it seems to have worked like a charm. New record highs were reached in the population of indexers. Also, since September 2021 till September 2022, indexing stake and income has been increasing quite sharply. All those are good and healthy signs of a growing ecosystem. In July, the Graph allocated nearly $1 million to attract more core developers, to provide support for dApps building on subgraphs, to create new tools, and to grow the community. In their 2023 roadmap, among three major goals such as Firehose, which is the next evolution of indexing and is critical for indexing chains like Arweave, Solana, and Near, the main goal is to migrate and integrate Arbitrum, which has already started, as in December, like 3 weeks back, the Graph migrated its billing contract to Arbitrum. This all is done to reduce transaction time and cost to a minimum. Now, something that I wanted to share with all of you guys is something that needs monitoring and might prove a risk factor. It is the situation with DCG, Digital Currency Group, is one of the early backers of the project. If you haven't heard what is going on with DCG, long story short, DCG has problems after the collapse of the FTX exchange, and there is a small or big chance of a bankruptcy. At this point of time, all the tokens that were allocated for the early backers, which includes DCG, should be already unlocked. Initially, all the backers combined should have 34% of the supply, or 3.4 billion tokens. As DCG was the group that held the initial fundraising round for the Graph, I would assume they took a big chunk of that. maybe even 10% of the total supply. We can only speculate. We can't know if DCG hasn't sold those tokens or how much more tokens they might have. All we know that it is a risk we should be aware of. They can go bankrupt and they might need to sell their assets, including GRT token. Although this is a risk, I don't think that it will be something that the graph won't recover from, as the majority of the tokens might be sold over the counter. Also, even if the price drops, with the growth and building the graph is displaying, I believe they will overcome it. What do you think, Fluffy?
I think that the graph, as stated in previous episodes where we did some more analysis, is the Google of blockchain. It does have a lot of potential. It's a very experienced and relatively old project with other good and quite decent backers, I would say. And as we can understand, that time will show, but still a big believer of the project.
Okay. Guys, do you believe we should worry about this, or do you believe all will be good? Tell us in the comments
Down below.
As for Parsiq, the most recent partnership was 2 weeks back with Boli, which is a decentralized blockchain infrastructure designed to enable organizations and businesses to build solutions for the real world. Another partnership was with DeFi Yield in December, which will utilize Parsiq's Tsunami API for DeFi trading. In September, the NFT data lake expanded, meaning that the two most popular NFT standards on the Ethereum network have now been indexed by Parsiq and can be queried using Tsunami API. In August of 2022, Parsiq's Tsunami API was enabled to cover both historical and real-time data. Basically, now Parsiq can query historical and real-time data on Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, and BSC. In June, Parsiq was listed on Coinbase, which is not bad at all, I would say.
At all.
Parsiq seems to be mostly on schedule with their roadmap, and we should still expect the development of DAO governance, a data explorer, and more. Also, the team has announced, as I mentioned before, more utility for their token and some changes in their tokenomics. For example, with the launch of the DAO governance, PRQ tokens will most likely be required to participate. Also, most likely, if someone wants to build a data lake, will need to stake Parsiq tokens. Still, as mentioned before, the staking here is not the same as on traditional proof-of-stake chains. So, all in all, Parsiq is not a bad project, a small one, yes. The bear market has not helped the situation at all. The tokenomics are not bad if we don't take into account the lack of info on the unlocks of the reserve fund, which might be provided when the team upgrades its tokenomics model. Allegedly, it should happen soon. Partnerships seem to happen for Parsiq and they keep building. Big exchange name listings as well. Definitely we can see potential, but for some reason I can't see Parsiq shooting for the stars. Something's missing for now. I would definitely suggest it for the short term. On the other hand, the graph seems to be doing quite well if we take into account the bear market. A project that keeps growing its ecosystem, takes slow but steady steps, is integrating a lot of chains, has good tokenomics, quite low inflation for now. It just seems like a solid project to me. It is definitely not in a crypto category that I would suggest it will make tremendous amounts of gains, but it is in a crypto category that can make good amounts of gains and is more like of a blue chip, more like a safe project, if we can describe anything safe these days in crypto.
Lol.
Lol. So yeah, the graph for the long term. What about you, Fluffy?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Graph for the long term, Parsiq good for short term and day trading. Again, Parsiq is in competition with some really strong and tough players. Still, I think that this is a relatively promising project, and again, time will show.
Yeah, exactly. 17 million market cap is nothing for me, I would say.
Yeah, 17 million market cap is nothing, but think about the upside and the potential that can this project have.
Exactly. So that's it for today.
Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the episode, then like, subscribe, push the notification bell button and share. Check if you remain subscribed to our channel, as the bug is making the rounds. Thank you, bye bye.